man. Wagwan! We seeing people, it's your boy, MarkN, MUFC fan, and you know what it is. It's the Premier Roundup Monday night. It's that show. We're back inside Red Devil mode, and you know what it is. Let's get in. Let's break down the Premier League weekend as we saw fit. Of course, it wasn't just the Premier League weekend. It was the Premier League week, and we had FA Cup this weekend. Disappointing run of 2 games this week from Man United. Maybe now fans understand why 1 game a week isn't all it cracks up to be sometimes. It's not for your club. But hey, guys, what are you saying? Drop points here, drop points there. Man United falling short. Chelsea slipping. Man City moving. Arsenal clearing points. Of course, Liverpool, is it a consistency debate now? What is going on with the Premier League? Guys, let's get into this game week really quickly. Let's smash it up and talk about it. And we're going to start with some interesting fixtures, of course, guys. Let's start with West Ham, Nottingham Forest, guys. And Forest looked sharper. As you can see, the scoreline, I will bring it up on the screen. Oh, man, where did I put this? Bomber. Anyway, guys, so Nottingham Forest getting themselves in the game. And of course, guys, you know what it's like. You know what we're talking about. You know the performances. You've watched them. You're the fans. Of course, Nottingham Forest with a 2-1 victory in the game. Now, guys, look, you can see the score here. This is how it went down. And of course, let's take out some of the key points of the game. West Ham struggled against Forest transitions, which is one of those things where I would say to you guys, you know, it's understandable. West Ham have not been playing the best football. The team they have don't really make it all great. You know what I mean, guys? And they could be doing certainly better as it goes forward. Now, Forest, on the other hand, they look like a team that's going a place under their manager, Sean Dyche. You know what I mean? Playing that English style, expressive, attacking football, but also he's very, very pragmatic sometimes. You know what I mean? So he keeps it old school, mid-block, sometimes low block. You know how it goes. For his second goal, exposed West Ham's recovery pace, showing West Ham what they were lacking and what they are missing in their team. And of course, there's no Wan-Bissaka, of course, and one other player because they had AFCON, and that's how the cookie crumbled for the West Ham Nottingham Forest game, where Nottingham Forest were, in my opinion, deservedly winners. It gets really interesting with the next fixture, guys, because guess what? Brentford certainly thrashed the hell out of Sunderland. It was a 3-2 smashing, another brace for Thiago, that striker doing the business, coming in from Brazil at the peak of his powers and running into form and not keeping his foot off the pedal, guys. It's going wild. And he's performing really well. I have to say he's probably the best striker in the league this season, if not second best to Haaland. They both are going at one another. However, he is the top scorer, folks. They imposed themselves early in this game and shown their tactical superiority. Sunderland really struggled with the wide overloads and, of course, the set pieces. The first goal settled the game completely. Brentford's game management was mature and ruthless. Sunderland never had a chance to recover after half time. Guys, Sunderland-Brentford, a 3-0 scoreline, and of course, Sunderland getting shown and thrown around and thrashed up like a rag doll. It was not a pleasant sight, folks. It was not a pleasant sight. Of course, we'll move on to other fixtures. As we know, it's all boring here. Bottom place Wolves take on Everton. I mean, they got a draw. But what I would say to you guys is, I wonder how. How did that even happen? Everton seemed to be taking control of the game, feeding off the home energy, but they never were able to take control. And Wolves grew into the game due to that, and goals came from defensive lapsing rather than the dominance that Everton started the game with. The physical midfield duels defined the match, and when we say that, Everton really was trying to do their best to win and control the midfield, but Wolves were very dogged and fighting. And of course, Joao Gomez having a very good performance. And in the final stages, both teams lacked quality despite a lot of open play in that game. And it ended in a 1-1, not too surprising. You know, maybe I might have expected Everton to come away with a victory, but again, the way things happen, of course, players are fine-tuned in form in these current moments, and whether they're in the best form or not the best form, still in more form than it was the first half of the season. They've already played so many games, so they're already up for the task. It gets interesting now. With no one would have expected after Crystal Palace poor showing in the last couple of weeks to come in and hold Aston Villa to a draw, a team that has been finding a way to score goals. They scored 9 in the last 3. And of course, it's interesting because a cautious opening, cagey match to start from both teams, prioritizing shape and control. Villa controlled, but lacked the cutting edge. It was a drab show of shooting from the villains. Guys, I can't even begin to tell you how poor the villain was shooting in this game. It seemed like they were not really interested in getting a goal or getting 3 points because their performances was really shabby, folks. Really shabby from the villains. I know they are above Man United, and people might say, look at the Man United fan trashing the villains, but they look shite. And even when they played United, we gifted them those 2 goals. People might say I'm lying, but yeah, we made those guys look better than they are because, in fact, we dominated the game based on metrics. The midfield battle, I would say Palace kind of, dominated that. They grew through set pieces and winning the second balls, and both sides, it's not surprising they settled for a point, guys. Again, boring watch. Not really that interesting fight. Of course, one of those battles and one of those games that I would say to you was probably one of the best watches as a neutral, even though I kind of watched only the second half, was the Newcastle versus Leeds. And it got really interesting because, you know what? I even switched off my TV when it was 3-3 with 30 seconds left. I was like, nah, these guys missed their last chance. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be a 3-3 draw. And right then, Newcastle with the late winner, folks. And I can tell you it was end-to-end chaos from the opening whistle. And of course, I did watch the highlights of the first half, so that's why I can say that. Leeds repeatedly exploited Newcastle's high line, but they weren't able to really bury the game, and Newcastle's physicality swung the momentum in key moments coming to the end of the second half, where they scored back-to-back goals, 3 of them to be exact. You know what I'm saying? Multiple momentum shifts at the beginning, no control from either side. Barnes, stoppage time winner, followed a sustained lead pressure. And guys, this is where Newcastle are strong, but you see what United did when we played against them. We threw them off their game late, and they weren't able to continuously build up momentum. So, I mean, other teams may have to take a look at that. Of course, no one expected Leeds to go toe-to-toe with Newcastle. They were probably expecting Newcastle to win easily, especially since they're at home, and they came back from losing, to be fair. So it gets interesting for Leeds. I think the Leeds fans could, applaud their performances. Their team is growing stronger, and I think they will remain in the league this season. I already said that, but a lot of people doubted it. But they are part of the Red Bull group, so they're going to do very good business. Jurgen Klopp is part of the person who's suggesting players for that club as well. So you can tell that Leeds will certainly be getting themselves a decent function. Anyway, guys, moving on to another interesting moment where Man United and other teams, only Arsenal were able to really and truly turn these mistakes into profit, because Man City drew 1-1 with Brighton. 1-1, guys. Yeah. The times when you need to pick up points, guys, and you don't. And as a Man United fan, you're going to watch that and say, what is going on? But we'll get to that shortly. We'll get to that. Man City controlled the territory, but Brighton were very brave on the ball. They took a lot of risks. They did not play defensive. They did not go there to try to get a point. They went there to try to get the win. They went down early, but their equalizer came from patient and disciplined build-up. Now, that's interesting because, for some people, they would love to see that kind of thing where you have a possession for like 15, 20 minutes of the game, but then you only score one goal from it. For me, I'm not too excited by that. I think if you have possession for 15, 20 minutes of the game, you should at least have 2 goals from that possession. Possession doesn't really win games, in my opinion, but I mean, two teams were based on a possessive style, and at the same time, City struggled to break down Brighton's defensive structure. Their coach was, changed tactics slightly to keep throwing City off. And a lack of ruthlessness cost City because they threw away a lot of chances. Brighton defended the box excellently in the final 20 minutes, which cost Man City the game. And of course, dropping points. And that was that. Who is going to benefit from these drop points? Well, there are lots of teams that are putting their hats in the level. And of course, Chelsea unable to do some work for themselves. What can I say, folks? Disappointing by Chelsea. Very, very disappointed in Chelsea, guys. They were. I sort of expected them to have a good performance, but they surprised me. They didn't have any performance, guys. Yeah, they lost to this Brighton team. It looked pretty easy. It looked pretty simple. It looked like they weren't really at the races, guys. And of course, I can't blame their new manager, but of course, he's going to have to hold responsibility. But I think the players, some of them, they do crazy things. They don't keep it simple, and they cost their team the game. There's something that they need to do better and improve upon. But, we will see what happens, folks. And of course, let's keep it honest. You know what I mean? There are lots of things to happen. The Premier League still has a few twists and turns, guys. I keep saying to you, it gets real in the business end. And of course, it gets real in the business end, folks. And yeah, sometimes you think you expect performances in the first half and you don't get them. Well, this is the time when you need to expect performances because this is the time where teams are tuned. This is the time where teams are more ready to give an account for themselves. So, folks, this is where you expect teams to perform, not drop points, not give half-rated performances. They've had time to make mistakes in the first 18 games of the season. There's 20 left. This is where you secure yourself a top 4 spot, Europe, Champions League. This is where it's at, folks. This is the business end. And of course, we're moving on from that because of Bournemouth 3-2 coming back from 2-1 down. Semenyo shining in this game. It was a very interesting walk. Wait, Semenyo didn't shine in the game. He didn't even play. He was a Man City player. Bad. The transfer happened so fast. I forgot. They played us the week before. He did shine against us. We shouldn't have dropped points. Yeah, Man United, bro. Man United, disappointing. This game, guys, what can I say? What can I say? You know what I mean? Spurs started well, failed to capitalize during strong moments, as they usually do. The bottle jobs of the league, you see them weekly, each daily. Spurs, they're not that team. A lot of their fans will talk breezy, talk smack, including Deji, but at the same time, Spurs ain't that team. They're going to be lucky if they finish in the top 10 this season because I'm telling you, they got some losses coming due to their run of games, and it's not going to look pretty. They already want to sack Thomas Frank. I mean, they were laughing at us about Amorim, but look at their manager. Of course, we could see that their managers have been replaced. Of course, we started this season, Chelsea having Maresca. Now they have Rossinier. And of course, it looks like Man United, well, we'll discuss that shortly, but Thomas Frank is not having the best time. The fans, they don't seem to be backing him so strongly. They seem to be telling themselves, maybe we could get rid of this guy. Shout out to Bots in the building. Bro, how much times we have to talk about them, bro? They crazy. You know what I mean? Just been on a channel with a chat blaming Fernandez for our problems and saying sell him in January, but he's our best player by a country mile. Box, the stats said that Bruno is the best midfielder in the league, and this was before he was injured. He came back and he already has, 2 assists, I think. Yeah, possibly. You know what I mean? And people will say he spams and he spams. but he's been very tidy on the ball, and you can see it from his stats. It's really wild, the concept some of these fans. You know, they say, get rid of Mason Greenwood, but he's now scoring goals for fun, and we're lacking goals. Everyone wants to buy him. I mean, they want to bring him back and all. We should have just kept the guy. I mean, you want mentality monsters, and you giving them away. It's wild, this fan base, bro. They're broken. I mean, I think a lot of some fans want to be right more than they want Man United to succeed. They want Man United to succeed based on their opinion on how Man United should succeed. And that's the wildest thing, Box. You know what I mean? It's 20, and we're still in a mess, bro. We talked about this 3.5 years ago, Box, and I told everyone, I said to everyone, are we going to be patient? We need, of all the things we need to do, was not to get jittery after 18 months, but all the lovely YouTubers that say they love Man United, they love that 18-month Saka manager cycle, folks. And I can't help but say that and come out and apologize on their behalf, because Saka manager, even if I wanted to sack Amorim, yeah, it was coming for this guy. And it has nothing to do with him. It had everything to do with the owners brought a guy they need to buy a whole new squad for, and they were never intending to buy the squad for this guy. It's disappointing, it's disconcerting, and it's certainly overly frustrating, guys. And this is where I get to the Man United section of the show. And when I say I get to the Man United section of the show, you just need to see this on the screen, guys. Disappointing. And of course, when I say disappointing, I'm not mad at Darren Fletcher. No one can be mad at Darren Fletcher. He came in forced. It's not his fault. Do you think he really wanted to be there in that moment, in that time? Nah. Maybe if Manchester United was doing okay and it wasn't that bad, and they already planned and it was going on for months, they were going to sack this guy, maybe he would have been prepared. But he came in, he did his best. He didn't lose that first opening game. I congratulate him there. I think he did a decent job against, I think the team, we threw away a lot of chances. I think we could have done much better, of course, but we didn't. And then when you look at how things were functioning, folks, we should have won. Our defending has been poor. Euro has been poor for the last 10 games, if not more. I don't know what it is. He's afraid of making challenges, or maybe he's not trying to get a foul. He's terrified of giving a penalty or what, but he's not stepping into challenges. He's not blocking shots. He's not blocking chances. He's not putting himself on the line anymore. And something needs to be done, because he would ruin himself as a young, up-and-coming and supposedly generational defender. And this is where it gets breezy, because Man United was pipped him from Real Madrid. So we can't say the boy doesn't have talent. But again, folks, there's lots of things in our team that need work, Dorgu being one of them. He might have scored a wonder goal, but he doesn't really offer that much. And if you look at the games when he's on the pitch, the teams when we play against them, their defense, they don't even pay attention to this guy. They give him so much room because they know he's going to waste it. And he does it weekly, but he plays 90 minutes. So while we must discuss the imminent appointment of Michael Carrick to Manchester United following a loss to Brighton 2-1 at home at Old Trafford, opening game in the third round of the FA Cup, and United are knocked the fuck out. Guys, it's wild. And it's disconcerting, guys, because I guess, you know what I mean? I don't know, but, we all would like to say these players are shit. But at the same time, did we bring this upon ourselves? Because we weren't able to have patience with one beginning of the rebuild. We have all these different analysis and expectations after 18 months, when it took 10 years to build that shitty squad. Now it took 12 years to build the shitty squad that Amorim inherited. Now it's 13 going on 14 years, the shitty squad. to who Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick is going to inherit until the end of the season. And folks, when I see this to you. The board has to back a manager. If they are backing the manager, then why are the fans wanting to sack the manager? And I wanted to sack Amorim because, yeah, I didn't like the play. I think that we just bought some players, and yeah, they might show up in some games, but it was too repetitive, folks. We were being figured out in a lot of games, unable to score. Teams knew what to do. They know which players to throw off their game. It was getting too repetitive. We need to have a system that's expansive, not only with a style of play, but with some changes to that style of play in the same formation, I guess, doing slightly different things. We need more creative players up front, because if Bruno has to create everything from deep, and then there's some rogue players on the ball, it gets difficult, guys. And, Man United's results, I don't know what fans were expecting. Were they expecting Fletcher to somehow, smash up these two teams, 4-5-1, possibly? Nah. Of all the top 6 teams, we had to get a Premier League team. Everyone else got a League One, National League, League Two team, Championship team. We got the Premier League, folks. It's interesting. They'll laugh at us, but hey, this season we are already not performing well. We already aimed and planned for 1 game a week, so we really have it. I don't think United fans should be too upset. We wanted this, folks. Not all of us, but most of us were coming 1 game a week. So why are they mad? We're out of the cup. Why are they mad at Fletcher, guys? You know what I'm saying? It's wild, people. It's wild. That one has me really confused. Because fans like me who said, yay, when Amorim was saying it's not about cups, it papers over cracks, we were saying, hell nah. We want to win all the little cups, the medium cups, until we could win all the big cups and the league trophy. But other fans were saying, nah, these things paper over cracks. Why struggle with small clubs when the league is the bread and butter? Fans, if you're saying that before, why are you mad we're out the FA Cup? You shouldn't be like me, fuming, frustrated, upset. Because guess what? We spent 100 million in the summer, and one of those guys is doing his job. Really? Another goal, another game. And I think if you start him again, he will score again. And he will probably keep scoring once you keep feeding this guy. It's not a question of if Benjamin Sesko is a striker. It's how many goals he's going to score and how much we're going to create for this guy to score goals. And that's always where the question is going to be, folks. If Man United wants to improve, we need to do better. Tottenham has Aston Villa coming up next week. It's going to be interesting, guys. We have Man City. Ahmad is back and Boomo is back. There are options. Michael Carrick is at the helm, folks. Michael Carrick will be the breaking news as the new caretaker manager of Manchester United. And of course, we were talking about the battle between Ollie and Carrick. But Carrick is that guy, folks. As you can see, he's on the thumbnail in his you know what I mean? I call it the Man United bad man era. Maybe we need a manager with a scowl, not a manager with a smile. I think the nice guys, it's time for the nice guys to take a hike. It's time for the edgy characters to make a return, folks. When Man United won, we were an edgy squad, a squad filled with edgy characters. Some guys that really didn't give a fuck. And some guys who just were like, yeah, let's get the job done. You know what I mean? It wasn't all this whimpering and haggling and crying. I'm like, I don't feel good today. And, someone hurt my feelings yesterday. I think these players, they disappoint me, folks, some of these guys. You know what I mean? You're supposed to love football. Live for that shit. People say it's a job. But imagine this is what you get to do for a job. Long live Man United, folks. And when I say that, I mean the days of playing for Man United as a normality, they need to be finished. It should be a gift. It should be an honor. It has to be a privilege to play for Man United, as my boy Bally Tech would say. It has to be a privilege, folks. You feel me? So I say to you guys, as Man United fan to Man United fan, we need to bring things back. You know what I mean? And of course, it will only begin with us. It always starts with us. It always ends with us, the fans. And like it or not, we do have an influence on some of the decisions that things are made as a group. You know what I mean? And we do have an influence on a lot of things, and you know, maybe good or bad. But now we need to start coming together and using this influence to get our club back to winning ways, folks. You know what I mean? Because this hurts. I can't take Chelsea fans calling me anymore, guys. Bantering me live while I'm on stream. They call and my camera disappears. You can't hear me anymore. You know why? Because they're calling to banter me. Man United is losing. They don't even wait for the game to finish, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I know it happens to each and every one of you as well. It gets boring. It's get upsetting. But anyway, I'm not gonna keep you too long. You know, a lot of the guys, they end up having, some of them had to work, some of them had streams that, you know, and of course, your boy MarkN is bringing it to you. But we'll be back again next week, hopefully with the full crew and a better performing weekend. Your boy might be in Berlin as well, though. But, you know, don't worry. I'll have the light. Everything will work fine. You know what I mean? But big up to each and every one of you for joining. Shout out to you guys for coming in. Don't forget to smash the likes and subscribe. Of course, leave your comments. How did you feel about the various games of the game week? If your thoughts differed from my assessment, let me know in the chat. And of course, we'll be back this week for some of the breaking news. Of course, Michael Carrick, don't forget, new Man United interim caretaker manager. He will be announced. And of course, guys, what can I say? We move. Peace out. Have a great night. Be back tomorrow. Of course, you know what it is tomorrow, folks. It's the Arsenal Man United Red Divide. It's the battle. The line has been drawn. It's going to be banter galore, of course. You know they're going to be coming for me. Our performances have not been great. They're 8 points atop the league. It's going to be peak. So come in, have some fun. Let's banter, defend Man United, and hate on Arsenal. Big up to each and every one of you. Have a great night. I'll see you again later, guys. Big up.
Baby.